What new bikes for 2026? Let's get into this one. So, welcome to RevelatorAlf, the new podcast format. And I've been looking around all the manufacturers this morning, looking ahead for 2026 bikes. A few bikes have been released, and they've already been mentioned in terms of they're going to be released later on this year, 2025, possibly some into 2026. There's some bikes that are already here, in terms of some coming out of certain manufacturers. That should give pause for thought to other manufacturers of what they're actually doing. But we're really waiting on the autumn reveals. Now, they really should be coming out with their new bikes and new product lineup right now, pretty much from mid-September to October, November. This is when we're going to see most manufacturers around the world say, okay, this is what we're going to come out for 2026. So I'm just going to look at a few here from certain ones that have been reported. So I want to start with the British manufacturer Triumph. They've looked at, or they've launched their Triumph Thruxton 400 Cafe Racer in India. That's going to go for a global release later this year as well. Doesn't look too bad, actually. If that kind of, but it's a small engine bike, right? And it's very cafe racer style. It's got kind of bullet nose fairings, so drop down handlebars as well. It looks pretty decent. We've got BSA launching their 350 single cylinder roadster motorcycle. It's going to be about £3,500. That's great money. BSA launched their long-awaited Scrambler single cylinder, their Scrambler bike. And that's going to come in about £6,000 as well. That's with the bigger engine. So a couple of the British outfits, well, BSA are not British anymore. They're Indian owned, of course. But they're looking to bring out smaller bikes and bikes that people maybe want to buy. Triumph also released this new Scrambler 400XC retro featuring spoke wheels and motor. But that was back in July. They were talking about that as well. But I want to bring your attention to a couple of other brands that are making a bit of noise. First of all, a big brand, Suzuki. Suzuki, much to everybody's annoyance, a couple of years ago, last year, what it was, they dropped the 1000cc sports replica bike, the GSXR 1000R. And many people, myself included, well, what are you doing? Well, what are you doing that for? Surely you should be trying to pump this bike as much as you can, right? And one of the things that they couldn't, get it Euro 5 compliant, I'm not always sure about that. I'm not always sure, because Yamaha did this a few years ago with the renewed VMAX, the later version VMAX, which was, as soon as they started to sell it here in Europe, they had to pull it back because they said they couldn't get it to fit Euro 5 emissions. Well, I think it was Euro 5 at the time. It could have been Euro 4. But I thought, well, why? Just make some slight engineering changes and you'll be able to do it. Well, this is what a lot of the manufacturers are doing now. They're tweaking their engines. They're maybe increasing capacity or decreasing capacity, whichever tweak they need to do. They're changing oiling, they're changing some kind of emissions things, whatever it is, but they're making small engineering changes, design changes to meet those standards that are required. Well, here Suzuki have done exactly that with their GSXR 1000R. And they've made it Euro 5 compliant, so they're bringing it back out. I'm not sure exactly what the price will be. Let's just have a quick look here, see what it's saying. It's looking to bring it out again. Yeah, still the 4-cylinder superbike. Yeah, it doesn't say what the price will be. It doesn't say what the price will be as yet. I mean, it could be. I would imagine this is going to be in the region of about a £20,000 bike. I would imagine, possibly a little bit less. I could be way off mark there with that. I'm just scrolling through here, one of the latest articles, which also, it doesn't actually say what it could be. But look, I've always been a fan of Suzuki bikes. I've always been a fan of the GSXR 1000R. The 750, the GSXR 750, I always thought was a fantastic bike as well. Let's move on. Honda looking at some of the bikes. They recently, it wasn't in August, they released these naked Fireblade powered production CB1000F and CB1000F SC. They're concept bikes, but they're production ready. They could be ready to go. I wouldn't be surprised if that features in the next, or an iteration of those bikes feature in the Honda lineup as well. Looking like great bikes. Now, I've always say this, and I kind of make repeated claims or statements in terms of watch out for the Chinese motorcycle manufacturers, because they're coming out with bikes that are looking good. They're also functioning, and they're getting great reviews by people who own them, people who ride them, and also from the powers that be in the mainstream media or main motorcycle media as well. QJ Motor, they're bringing out this 800cc SRK 800R sport bike in the UK for £7,000, plus on the road charges, which is going to be a few couple of £100, nothing more than that, right? 4-cylinder sports bike. They've been ramping up. The Chinese manufacturer have been ramping up their cylinders and their CC capacity in terms of the power that these bikes are bringing as well. And I tell you what, I've been looking at these bikes a lot recently. I think there's a lot coming out from these guys. There's a lot of bikes that I've heard are coming out, and they're just going to get bigger and bigger, up to, really good sports bikes, really good road bikes, roadsters, whatever it is, and cruisers that people are going to want to buy. Here's another one, Bender, the LFC 700 4-cylinder sports cruiser. It's come to 20 dealers. It's 20 dealers in the UK of this Bender Chinese brand. It's a 700cc, and that's coming in at just under £9,000. So you got a cruiser motorcycle, rotor cruiser motorcycle here. That looks good. I mean, I'll say I'm not going to show them to you here, but you go and search them out, type them all out in your search engines, and you'll get pictures of them. But this actually looks pretty good here. There are questions of, do we need this kind of bike? Do we need, But hey, they look pretty decent, right? If you like that kind of thing. The thing is with this Bender LFC 700, and I'm just reading from the Motorcycle News here. It's got a huge rear tire, and I'm not sure whether the massive rear tire thing is, anybody wants it anymore. Do you know what I mean? And taking on a test drive, and you kind of think, is this any good? For going around the twisties. But if you just want to, it's got some decent figures on here as well. Look, it's a 700cc cruiser. It's not going to be the ultimate fast bike, but I think they could have made it faster, and possibly with a smaller rear tire, and it probably could have gone a lot faster as well. We're on the cusp here of new bikes being mentioned all the time, but I just wanted to bring this attention of the two Japanese brands, QJ Motor and Bender, here in the UK and around Europe, but also they're going to be pushing those out in other parts of the world, and lots of other Chinese brands or Chinese derivative brands. And I keep on making this evident that a lot of European traditional motorcycle brands of the past were all brought up, with all the licenses, all the rights were all brought up by Chinese companies, and they still operate under the European brand name, and they might have a design houses in Europe, but the manufacturing, they're all Chinese, right? Like Benelli, Chinese. SWM, Chinese. Matchless, essentially Chinese. There's so many others that are nationally owned, but they all source out their manufacturing in China as well. So effectively, it's the same thing. Right? But these bikes have got better and better and better. They're getting great value for money, and their performance and quality is just getting better. And they started off at the low CC motorcycles, and they'll slowly but surely, there's 200, 300, 400, 600, 800 cc, 1000 cc. They're coming with a lot of credibility now. And yes, you got to ask yourself, okay, if you want to buy a cruiser, let's just say this Bender LFC 700, if you want to buy a cruiser, well, and a cheap cruiser, well, you're going to have to either buy a second-hand Harley Davidson that may or may not be great. Some kind of aging Triumph, I'm thinking like a Triumph Storm or something like that you could pick up for a decent money, I would say. In fact, I think you get a good deal on Triumph Storm if you can find one. You're probably looking at something like a BMW R18, one of the early ones, a second-hand one, to get a decent, so kind of price matching about the 8,000-9,000, right? So you could definitely do that. But in terms of a new bike, well, what 700cc or what kind of cruiser could you get for that kind of money? Well, Bender here, they're coming at 9,000. You're probably looking at a shotgun or something like that from Royal Enfield that could give you that kind of value. Maybe not necessarily the performance or the grunt of a big Harley Davidson, but you definitely get that fun riding capability out of those bikes. So you got there's a couple of other Chinese brands that are coming out with these kinds of cruisers as well. You've got the Indian manufacturers, Royal Enfield, namely. Then who else are you looking at? You are looking at Indian Harleys Davidson, which are going to be way up there in terms of price range. And I'm not comparing these to Harley Davidson or Indian. I'm just saying in terms of cruiser, a style of riding. If you're not that fussed about what kind of manufacturer it is, but you just want the style of riding, then, and also if you're conscious about what can come out your wallet as well, then you're kind of going to be looking at something like this. I was talking about the Sportster, what happened to the Sportster from Harley Davidson, and that the Chinese brand Shinrei, and then under the SWM header or company from Italy, they've re-envisaged, as it were, or it's basically exactly the Sportster again. They've got all the tooling, they got all their rights to produce that Sportster in exactly the same way. They've tweaked it a little bit, as I said, tweak it to meet Euro 5 emissions, and they're selling that as a 1200, what they call Stormbreaker. It's going to be at a fraction of the cost. So you kind of think, well, other manufacturers can do this. And there's lots of opportunity out there to buy bikes that you would only normally associate with big brands like Harley Davidson or Indian or Honda or Suzuki or whatever it is. But now these Chinese brands or other brands from India are producing bikes that can compete with that and can give you that kind of bike, but also give it to you at a much better price as well. As I say, there are lots of bikes coming out. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to be hearing more and more. Those are just a few, just to, whet your appetite. Let me just have a look here. There's some others which I heard. Wow, it's interesting. It's interesting that I'm hearing things about Aprilia coming out with new ones. It depends what kind of motorcycle you're into. Montesa just coming out, Honda derivative. They've just reissued their bikes for 2026 as well. The Bender Bender, that LFC 700. They've also got this Chinchilla, this 350 twist and go sort of roadster bike. Cruiser type bike, a small bike. Again, this 350 400cc motorcycle. Remember, if you watch my channel 2 or 3 years ago, I was saying this is the kind of cc bracket, the kind of 250 300cc to 500cc, which is going to be the sweet spot in the next few years of what motorcycle manufacturers are going to go to. I don't have a crystal ball, but I was just look at the market and look at what prices are going to be and see which was working, which could work the best. And look, I've been proven right. Triumph, Harley Davidson tried to do it. So many of these other manufacturers are trying to produce these bikes. Honda always jump on the bandwagon. They always plug a hole in their lineup with a bike that other manufacturers might be doing well with. And guess what? That's why they sell millions every year, because they always try and hit that sweet spot in terms of providing motorcycles that people want to buy. Bender, another Chinese brand, again, do it. There are other things here as well. Kawasaki are just coming out with variations for their 500, their Vulcan S and their Eliminator 500 cruisers as well. You can go check that out. But there's not a great deal to look at here, really. I mean, there's other news here about Norton changing stuff in Norton as well. Norton ends the V4 SV, V4 CR, and Commando 961 production. This is an interesting one. I hadn't heard about this one. Let me have a quick look. Norton's dropped a bombshell from its Solihull UK headquarters, confirming the end of production of its flagship V4 SV, V4 Cafe Race, and the Commander 961, which is the first two, which are supposed to be their flagship models. The last of these legendary bikes have rolled off the production line, making close to a significant chapter British mark. But don't cue the violins just yet, as Norton's not riding off to the sunset. Instead, they're revving up for full throttle resurgence with a fresh product range set to break cover at EICMA 2025. Okay, so as I say, new bikes are going to be announced. So EICMA's coming in very, very soon, isn't it? It's in October, November time, something like that. Again, watch out for that. So yeah, be interesting to see what Norton do. Again, not a massive player on the global stage, but listen, if those bikes aren't selling, they're going to have to do something about it. They have done something about it. They are changing it. This was coming. This is a quick article I was reading on Visor Down here in the UK. All I can say is there are bikes. They're all coming out, right? The value for money, I think, is the order of the day here. Value for money, whereas you might be getting bigger engine bikes, bigger performance bikes from the likes of India, likes of China. They're coming into European markets. It might be going to the United States or other parts of the world as well. They're going to offer people good riding experiences and lots of fun, and they won't break the bank as well. The manufacturers, as I keep on saying, that only produce or will only produce the big expensive bikes, well, they are going to suffer. They're going to suffer. I'm not saying they're going to suffer terribly, but in terms of growing their market share just by selling those bikes alone, I think they're going to struggle. Let's say unless they do something about the pricing, unless they do something about warranties and things like that, finance agreements. You've got to shop around on your finance agreements as well, because some manufacturers are offering great finance deals as well. So there's lots of things to look at. There's lots of things to look at when you're thinking about buying a new bike or trying to finance it as well. Do your sums, do your research, and see which is the best outlet for you. But I think the order of the day, so far in this early September rollout, is there are a few bikes already been mentioned. It looks like going to be even more bikes coming out for 2026 of all the manufacturers. But I would not be surprised if we don't see many of the big bikes. Yeah, we'll still see the big engine bikes. We'll still see the big cruisers and everything. But you're likely to see just tweaks on those, I would imagine. I think you're likely to see maybe one or two bikes in terms of new machines being brought out. But I think the order of the day is going to be more value, more customer focus, and more practical use of motorcycles. And there's me just going on about the Bender LFC 700 or whatever it is, which is going to be a totally impractical bike, but it might be a fun ride, right? But you're not breaking the bank with that fun ride. That's the key thing here. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But new bikes for 2026, well, they're going to be announced very, very soon. Just whetted the appetite there with a few bikes there. More to come. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Let us know what you'd like to see. Obviously, I've forgotten to talk about Harley Davidson with their $6,000 bike. I've already talked about that in previous videos. That's why I didn't really talk about it here so much. I'm sure they're going to come out with a couple of other bikes. Indian, I believe, was supposed to be coming out with a new bike or a new version of a bike as well. No confirmation of that yet. Let us know. Your thoughts on what you'd like to see your favourite manufacturer come out with, and well, are we likely to see it at a reasonable price? And what is a reasonable price for you? What is value for you? Or does value not have a price tag? Does the riding experience not have a price tag? Well, if that's your position, well, lucky, you're in a very lucky position. That's all I can say. Because I think there's always a price on value. There's always a price on anything that you buy. It's because it depends on your own personal finances, of course. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. So if you like what I do here, keep on watching the videos, and I'll catch you again in another video. Well, coming very soon. Bye now.